हेलो गाइस, तो आज हमारा डे 4 है मेलबर्न। तो आज हम मेलबर्न सिटी घूमने जा रहे हैं पूरा। पहले हम क्रिकेट ग्राउंड जाएंगे मेलबर्न का, फिर उसके बाद देखते हैं और क्या क्या जगह है मेलबर्न में घूमने की, तो वहाँ सब जाएंगे हम। तो आपको दिखाते हैं मेलबर्न कैसा है, तो बने रहिए इस व्लॉग में। मिलते हैं सीधे आपको वहाँ पहुँच के।
तो जैसा कि गाइस आप देख सकते हो, हम पहुंच चुके हैं स्टेडियम। तो गाइस पहाड़ से अभी देख सकते हो आप, काफ़ी बड़ा लग रहा है, काफ़ी।
Does everyone have something to eat and drink? Any leftover bags or anything? I'm still a bit sick. As you like. I'll try and give it a crack to answer any questions you have. I've done a few tours. I don't claim to know everything. But challenge and I'll give it a crack. Now, it's important Jill mentioned that we stick together. That'll be easy. Now, to help me out, who's been to the MCG before? Quite a few. Great. Keep coming. Who's keen on the winter sport Australian rules footy? Great. Hope your team's doing all right. Who's keen on the cricket? They're the two major sports that played here. I'll be talking about both. Will be available if anyone's interested in coming along. Now, I know that we're referred to as the Melbourne cricket ground, and yet you might wonder where the cricket wickets are. Well, here at the MCG, we use drop-in cricket wickets. I'll explain that as we go along. We'll see a little video. Cricket's played across the ground. Football lengthwise, cricket across the ground. Through these gates, we're leaving public entering members. So we'll be in some members and some public areas during the tour. Those gentlemen on the ground, we have a display of cricket blazers of countries around the world. Starting off Melbourne Footy Club, now I'm aware that there's some Melbourne supporters. Yeah. So Melbourne are based here, Melbourne Footy Club. First cricket one is 2 in Western Province, South Africa. Next is the Malaysian blazer. Next one, hard to miss with the colours. And if you've been watching the Test cricket, from Lords, you might have seen some of these blazers in the long room, and they were getting up close and personal to some players. That's the English cricket blazer, right next door, Cricket Club of India. Singapore, Bangkok, finally Toronto, Canada. Now the reason they're displayed, those club members can visit our club when they're here in Melbourne. Our club members can visit those clubs when we're in those towns, cities and countries. It's a nice share between the cricket nations. Melbourne Cricket Club? Yeah, what you do, you make contact with those clubs and be introduced, basically. Yeah. All right, now, that screen on your right, I'll let it'll finish in a moment, and that's the ground today, presented for Australian rules footy. Now, how do we go about Olympic Games here, but way back in 1956. Commonwealth Games, 2006. The next Commonwealth Games, 3 years' time, will host the opening ceremony. The games themselves, well, here at the MCG, we use drop-in cricket wickets. I'll explain that as we go along. We'll see a little video. Cricket's played across the ground. Football lengthwise, cricket across the ground. Through these games, with the colours, and if you've been watching the Test cricket from Lords, you might have seen some of these blazers in the long room, and they were getting up close and personal to some players. That's the English cricket. Those club members can visit our club when they're here in Melbourne. Our club members can visit those clubs when we're in those towns, cities and countries. There's no share between the cricket nations. Yeah. Oh, now, that's screen on your right. I'll let it. We'll finish in a moment, and that's the ground today, presented for Australian rules footy. Now, how do we go about changing it from winter footy to summer cricket? Very easy. It's done over about 3 or 4 nights after hours. What we do, we dig up the middle of the ground.
Sorry.
And we'll head this way. Closest thread bow, it's in that area. All right, is everyone through?
Yeah.
Multi-purpose room, but known as a family room. Game day, quite often players, coaches have young children, babesters. Soon after each game, players are selected and ran for a drug test, just to make sure they haven't taken something. In the corner is a medical room, so unfortunately injuries can occur. Medical staff can look after injuries. Let's head into the after-match interview room. Take a seat, lads. Make sure you're smiling on this desk. Don't give him a headline. All right, so what happens soon after the game, footy, cricket, whatever, the winning team presents to the media. Lights, camera, action. The backdrop again are sponsorships. Thousands watching live stream. Now the happy, smiling coach leaves. The sad coach arrives. Mood changes. So the journalists ask their questions. They hope the coach might slip up and give them a headline. It can happen. This is the aftermatch conference. All right? That happens. Everyone's smiling on the front desk. Everyone's a winner. No, you don't want to do it. It's one of many, just let these gentlemen through. That's it, thank you. Today it's one of many lunch venues for people who work at the ground. Tomorrow night they'll dress that for families to await the players to finish after-match commitments, media, press pass. For cricket, dressed as a proper dining room for both teams and umpires. Very Now, 2 groups. We're heading up to B1. That's where the indoor cricket centre First lift. And could you press B1 for me, please?
क्या क्या होता है स्टेडियम में तक इमेजिन कर सकता है ऐसे गेम का वो होगा ना प्रैक्टिस
Meaning that one will spin more than the other, or bounce higher, or play quicker, replicating different playing conditions. This first wicket here, you can practice it playing by yourself. Bat at this right end, feeding the computer the type of bowling like the pace. It might be fast or slow. That video screen at the other end fires up. Ball shoots out every 10 seconds. Now, to make it easier, there's a couple. Now, the batter has chosen Shoaib Akhtar, now retired Pakistan, very quick bowler. Fortunately, the batter can control the pace that the ball shoots out every 10 seconds. All done. Okay. Now, oh, hang on. Back in the left, folks. It's busy. Now, bird's eye view of the ground. The football against the ground. When your gentleman is bowling, all of the centre area is dug up. That's where we drop in 30 minutes. We play cricket across the ground. No restricted view. I'm trying to pick up why the flags would be half mast. Cricket. The batter was to the left of the centre circle, Simon O'Donnell. Greg Matthews tossed one down. Simon thought, I'll have a piece of this. That's where the ball landed. Now that's a big hit. That's 109 metres. Longest hit at the MCG. That was 30 years ago. All right. Happy to move on?
प्लेयर्स मुझे आ जाने चाहिए थे आए जब भी तो लोग बैठ रहे हैं नीचे मैं कुछ देख कुछ क्रिकेट भी नहीं देखता
Tennis. Concert venue. The one on the left, folks, is where we play soccer, rugby. Then netball, basketball, Grand Slam events in the world. Currently in London, last month Paris, New York, January, Melbourne, 2 weeks. The precinct goes from John Payne Arena, Melbourne, right through to the city. 2 weeks in January, each day about 60,000 teams. Whilst that's going on, cricket at the MCG at night time, maybe a concert at Amy Park. So we have multiple events happening. Trains and trams come along, 20-minute stroll to the city. We get home. All right, happy to move on? Yeah. Melbourne Sporting Precinct. Now, with the Olympic Games and the Commonwealth Games, these are the gold medal performances. The high jump. So the lady jumped the bar at that height to win the gold medal. High jump. Hold. Much higher up, ran out of wall space. All you have to do is jump from there to there, gold medal jewels. That's all you have to do. For about 60 people. Then over a long period of time, we had knockdowns, we had rebuilds until 2006, completion of the current members' pavilion. Now, all these areas that you see now, members and guests, as members we're encouraged to bring guests to most games. This is the Melbourne Cricket Club library. It does close on a Wednesday, but normally during the week, this would be a fantastic venue to come. It's known worldwide. Lots of media rely on the information that they can gather from the library. In the corner, this has only been here for 3 weeks, but it's a statue featuring Sir Don Bradman. So that's creating a lot of interest. This is a very, very famous, significant cricket photo. 2 brilliant cricketers together. We've got Sir Don Bradman in his playing days and he's with the brilliant Sachin Tendulkar, now retired Indian batter. They're celebrating Sir Don's 90th birthday. It's very special. There's only 3 other copies that exist. The reason they're together, Sir Don often said, Australian batter, Cowper, best score, mid-60s, hard to beat. Top one's Arthur Bailey, bowler, 9 out of 10 wickets. By a school, perfect area as a breakout, say from a conference, a morning tea, lunch. Busy on game day, members and guests overlooking the park. The one on your right overlooks the ground. The stadium itself is... There's a couple of things here I'll point out. It's the order the footy teams entered the competition. We started off with Melbourne Demons, Geelong Cats, etc. The opposite wall, for cricket followers, it's a personal collection. It's only part of the gentleman's personal collection. He passed away, donated it to the club, but every piece relates to cricket. Most of it was sourced in the UK. Very famous cricket collection. Okay, and when you're ready, we'll hit this one. I'll put it into the corner. It's a listing of the honorary life members of the Melbourne Cricket Club. Dates back to 1861. I'm trying very hard to get on this list. I don't think I'll make it. But recent amendment. Sadly, we lost our Queen. So of course, photo opposite is 1895. Patrons standing on the roof. Oh. Now, people behind the goals don't think that they've arrived early for tomorrow night's match, but they're here just to witness their team at their training run. It'll be short and sweet. I don't think they'll appear before 2:30. Final preparation for the game tomorrow night. Everything's getting freshened up. A bit different to Lord's long room. You might have seen on the TV. The players leave the rooms or the ground and walk through the long room. Here it's different. We're 4 levels above. 99% of the time, very respectful. It's a fantastic thing to have players doing that. Maybe they need to make a change or two as to what's happened over the last 48 hours. Very sad to see it, isn't it? All right, now again, this is a room that can be booked